This is J.P. Bang Music.
Soak it up,
Purchase your
boy.
tracks
You
today.
know. Soak it up, boy. You know.
All right, welcome to Sport versus Metal. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. Just wanted to make sure we let you guys know what we're doing out here as far as connection, or actually eliminating the middleman when it comes to information about recruiting and improving yourself going to the next level in this great sport we call football. Want to definitely give a few shout outs. Belated birthday to Tupac Shakur, the greatest rapper alive. That's just my opinion. Got to do that. To some companies that out there helped me. First and foremost, James Hicks Media Corporation that's powered behind this great podcast. Got to give a shout out to Cultural Slides. Definitely the Charles James Foundation. I'll be presenting sometime earlier. I'll be presenting earlier this week. Or I presented earlier this week, excuse me. An award, scholarship award. I'm really excited about that. I have my own scholarship foundation that's kind of going up underneath that, which is I'm very excited about. And man, we're just doing some big things. Shout out to my partner in crime, Ruben Pena. Shout out to Chris Smith. Shout out to J.R. Tulliver, State Farm Insurance. Shout out to Culture Slides and Xavier Carroll. And let's get into the show. I really want to talk about a young man I'm very, very proud of. And I can't say enough about this coach right here. I've seen him grow from being a player to going to college, earning his degree like all of us are supposed to do, then really getting involved in the coaching profession and really taking it to heart and really making power moves. And I can't say enough about him, how proud I am of him. He hit me up a little bit when he started to go into the coaching realm, and I gave him as much advice as possible. And he's looked like he's just taking it and ran with it and doing bigger and better things and really on that really fast upward trajectory. We're going to talk to him about recruiting, talk to him about the school where he's at, talk about all the good things he's got going on, and then some more. And, I want his opinion on a lot of things so kids can be educated. But without further ado, I want to welcome Coach Andrew Heffler. How you doing?
Montell, thanks for having me, man. I'm fired up to be here. It's good to see you. And
Absolutely.
I'm proud to, use this platform and make a positive impact and share my story a little bit and kind of talk some ball,
Absolutely. So let's start it right now. Let's tell your story a little bit. Let's talk about you from high school, from your experience from high school to going to college to ending up in the coaching world.
Yeah, so I'll try to condense the long story as much as possible. So played high school football at St. Augustine High School, graduated in 2016, played for the great Richard Sanchez, and I had the luxury of having some great coaches. I've had Coach Joe Kramer was my defensive line coach. Coach Matt Stern was my defensive line coach 1 year as well. After that, I decided the Division III route, so I decided to go to Pomona-Pitzer College. Didn't have a lot of looks just because of my height. I only started the end of my senior year, which was, a great opportunity. I was blessed to be a part of it. I got an opportunity to showcase myself at the SCFNL All-Star Game. And then after that, attended Pomona-Pitzer College. Pomona-Pitzer College was a historically losing program. The stereotype for going to Pomona-Pitzer College was very smart academia school. So the stereotype about that school is, it's a bunch of nerds, so how can you, have the smartest guys and play football? But with a great class that Coach John Walsh, our head football coach now at the time, put together, and, our offensive coordinator, Coach Brian Carroll, put together a tremendous recruiting class and, completely helped turn the program around, winning this class in program history. I played defensive end, defense line for about 4 years, and then came time to find a job. So didn't really want to find a real job, so because I love football so much, so wanted to find and stay in the game as much as possible. So I decided I wanted to pursue and be a college football coach. So the best way I enacted that start was helping work our West Coast elite camps that Pomona-Pitzer hosted in Claremont, California, several times throughout the last couple summers. Help coach, do anything possible. Kind of like a mini graduate assistant, but indirectly not. And so my goal was to find the coaching situation that would best suit me. I went to the AFCA convention, and if you've ever been to the convention, it's nothing's more intimidating, than wearing a tie, having your resume and business cards, and not knowing a single soul there. But had the unique opportunity to meet an alumni from the Claremont Consortium, my friend Garrett Myers. He's actually a graduate assistant at Northern Illinois University. They had a tremendous season as well. He was a graduate assistant at Concordia University, Wisconsin, and I'm thinking, Wisconsin, where? What, talking about the Packers or something like that? And so he told me they potentially had an opening, so kind of slept on it a little bit. And then all of a sudden, on the football scoop, I see the job posted and everything like that. And then I applied for it, and then all of a sudden, COVID hit. So it was my senior year, 2020, because that's when I graduated, and we were all told, go home, life's over. So as soon as I was driving home, and as soon as we got the announcement, I received a call from the offensive coordinator at the time, Coach Henny Hemmons, just further discussing about the interview process and everything like that. And then got connected with their head coach, Coach Greg Etter, who's a great mentor and a great friend of mine now, and interviewed for the job. It was really weird because the interview was on Zoom, and they would have brought me out to campus, but it was COVID and everything was shut down. And it was so weird that the internet was actually shut down at my house for some reason. I don't know what the outage was in the area, so we had to go to just like a discreet location, and there was the light was coming on my face. We had to make everything look perfect. My dad and I installed a whiteboard, and just did a good job in the interview, I guess, because I was asked to if I wanted the job a couple days later. But then transitioned into a new part of my life. I'd never been out to the Midwest ever in my life. Moved out to Concordia University, Wisconsin, in Mequon, Wisconsin, which is a certain area of Milwaukee. I'm trying to think on the map. It's a little bit about 15 minutes north of Milwaukee. But anyways, had a great time there. I was coaching running backs and tight ends, being a defensive guy background. It was a great chance to see the game in a different lens from the offensive side of the ball. And then eventually I got my master's from Concordia University, Wisconsin, and then transitioned to kind of, the next stage of my life and trying to figure out what that entails, because in the football profession, there's not like a set direct path of how to get there, so it's all about who you know. And, I went to the AFCA convention again, had a few interviews set up with several different schools from all different levels, all very unique situations that would help me get to where I wanted to be in 5 years from now, in my 5-year plan. However, I really wanted to, take it in and just imagine myself at that program and just seeing myself, what's the best possible fit for me at the time, what's going to help project my career. And so I accepted the position. It's a full-time position. It's very full-time positions at any level in college football are very hard to get, and they're very sought after, because in the Power 5 conference, there's only so many that come and go. But Division II, Division III, NAIA, and so on, it's a high sought after job. So I decided that I was going to be the wide receivers coach and special teams coordinator at Culver-Stockton College. Culver-Stockton College is located in Canton, Missouri. So didn't move out of the Midwest yet, even though I'm a Cali guy. So I decided, that was the best possible fit for me. After meeting with the staff and meeting with our head coach, Tom Sally, I knew this was the right place for me, and just how much this program, kind of mirrored my experience as a player, because Culver-Stockton College was a historically losing program before Coach Tom Sally took over the program. And this past season, Culver-Stockton finished 8-3, best season in the program history. Again, mirrored a similar season I had at Pomona-Pitzer College, and I really, love, projecting and also just helping change the culture of a program into new heights, new undiscovered territory that they've been through. And a very cool thing about Culver-Stockton College is that we actually had a guy sign with the Tennessee Titans as well, and Andrew Rupzich, and I think that's pretty impressive. And, our program's on the rise for sure. We have a lot of returners coming back. We finished spring ball on the right note, and we have our camp this Saturday, or on Saturday. Well, it's been passed by now, but it's a great opportunity. I love the people. It's a very young, competitive staff, smaller community. It's a beautiful campus, and I'm excited about the future of the Wildcat football program. So,
No, I think your story is very, very telling because kids that want to be inspired to go coaches. I think your route is very unique the way you're going about approaching it. But more so, I would like young people to understand and people to understand what you just mentioned in your whole conversation, your whole journey was about 10 coaches. 10 coaches you've had experience with that are at the collegiate level, and how such a small world it is. And especially with recruits, like a recruit could say, you would offer a recruit, and he could say, and this is more about recruits' attitudes, right? And we're going to talk about the attitudes. More about attitudes. You'll be the first one there, and you'll recruit him, and he'll ghost you, right? Because he thinks you're NAI in a small program.
Right.
Little does he know, Northern, like you said, I forgot
Northern Illinois.
Yeah. What that coach offers him now, all of a sudden. The Division I program offers him. But you know that coach. And that coach says, hey, Andrew, did you talk to this kid? And you'd be like, yeah, he ghosted me. He didn't return my phone calls. He didn't do anything. So I want recruits to understand, what impression do you think that coach is going to have when another fellow coach says you ghosted him?
Well, here's the thing, Montell, is that the coaching profession, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know, and it's a true fraternity. And I mean, I knew a few coaches at all different types of levels. I mean, coaches that coached me know coaches from all across the country, and we all talk. Little do recruits know. I mean, the Cantrell. I mean, at the end of the day, right? We're there to recruit, we're there to promote our program, but it's nice to catch up and check in with old friends at different programs. But we always talk about that certain recruit or those certain type of recruits. Hey, remember whatever happened to this kid? Oh, he's not playing for us. Oh, yeah, he's weird. He didn't pan out, and we always actively discuss because, we like to have a lot of friends in this profession because it is a very unique profession, but also as a recruit, you got to understand something that we all talk and I understand like there's rivalries, everything like that, but it's such a small, tight knit fraternity that we're all going to be, discussing, being in the same, same page and catching up with each other. Another thing too, that I think a lot of recruits don't factor in, right? Let's say school A offers this kid and the recruit at the time tweets out, blessed to receive an offer from school A. And then school B offers him. And instead of keeping the same generic format, and I wanted to mention this on a tweet, he says, received another offer from school B. Just that, text tone or that tweet tone, how the wording, it can ruin your recruiting. And it can, have the other coaches that, we know be like, well, did he hate our visit? Is he not interested in us anymore? We're done with him. Okay, your tone's done. You know what I'm trying to say?
No. I talked about it last week. I believe recruits need to have some type of etiquette all of a sudden now because you're no longer that kid on campus that can say anything, kind of get away with it because you're the best athlete. So you think all these schools are going to come towards you? I think you need to show a certain tone of respect when any coach reaches out to you, regardless of what level. You need to have some respect. You need to return phone calls. You need to have, like you said, a generic tweet that kind of says the same thing over and over again.
Well, also, too, I forgot to factor this in, Montell, is recruits got to, it's a business. And you are your own brand. You are marketing your own brand. That is who you are. You are marketing yourself, and the coaches are shareholders. They're investors. That's the way you got to look at it. They are buying your stock. They are buying your product, you. And you have to promote your brand as much as possible in a positive and impactful way. And if you do anything, it could be first impressions. It could be, not saying hi to a coach, after a camp. It could be, not responding to a text or call over a certain week or period of time. Like the little things really matter. And that's why I think recruiting has really shifted towards, being about your brand, the brand.
I'm stealing that from you, know that, right? I'm going to steal that from you. Your stock. You are your own stock. I like that. And coaches are your investors. I like that. That's a great analogy. And I think that's the perfect analogy because I think young men need to start to understand that because the way the coaching platform has changed in the last 3 years is completely different, especially if you're a high school kid. High school kid, it's not there like it used to be anymore. With the portal, the COVID years, the kids got back. Transfers going every which way. You got junior college out there, and now you left with high school kids. And I'm understanding that, I'm constantly trying to learn the platform myself, but I believe outside of 5-star or outside of those elite players, the grind, it's not like it used to be at all. Now, those ones that are outside those elite players at the collegiate level now are all free game for Division II, NAIA, and Division III. And
yeah, and people get a knock on for like these like a D1 or bust mentality, like you discussed in your episode last week, D1 or bust mentality. But a lot of people don't factor in this. Yes, the goal can be to go to the NFL. If you're good enough, they'll find you, clearly. However, playing 4 to 5 years of college football mean some of the best friends of your life that will be in your wedding, and changing the entire culture of a program and winning and playing all 4 years. I mean, unbelievable experiences that you'll never get back ever.
Yep.
And only about 6% or less than 6% go on to do that at any level. And another thing too is a lot of these incoming guys, they think, oh, I was the best guy in my high school, I don't have to work this summer. No, you're going up against grown men. It's going to be very intimidating when you see, like I did when I first got in. I was just scrawny defensive lineman. I saw a defensive back at Pomona Pittsburgh bench 225, 20 reps. Like it was nothing. And he was way smaller than I was. And I'm like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? And it's just a different mentality you got to have. You have to be very humble. You have to come in with a mindset. You want to be a sponge for knowledge, and you want to learn. And also, as mentioned in your previous episode last week, do you love football? You got to love football. Part of loving football is developing your craft and continuing to develop your craft. For example, for me especially, this was my first year coaching wide receivers. I'm the wide receivers coach, and I'm the special teams coordinator. I had special teams experience at Concordia, Wisconsin, but this is my first year coaching receivers. So constantly, I love the game, and I'm still doing research on receiver stuff to help me and help my players improve. So as a player, as a recruit, if you are really bad at press coverage, if you are very bad at snapping off posts, if you're really bad at identifying coverages, you need to work on those specific goals and specific things you need to work on. Some guys just say, oh, coach, I'm just going to get bigger, faster, stronger. Ooh, okay. Well, if you're getting beat, you can't beat a reach block as a DN. How are you getting better? Have a specific plan and set specific goals, and strive for that. And when you come in as a freshman or you're a senior year, in high school, you got to understand that coaches are watching you. They're seeing you. Do you love the game to that much that you're willing to do whatever it takes to improve your craft as much as possible? Some players have limitations due to genetics and whatnot, but what are you doing to show me that you love the game? And another thing too, and I think this is kind of for me, especially when I'm going through Twitter, because recruiting is Twitter nowadays, guys that post videos on Twitter. People have asked my opinion about posting videos on Twitter and everything like that. But as soon as I see it, like a recruit, tag me in a video on Twitter and they're doing squats, it's a lot of weight, but they're not going full depth on their squat. I mean, that doesn't really do anything good to promote your brand. That just shows A, you could have stiff hips, and B, you could not be following directions, and C, you need to work on your flexibility. So
that's a great. That's a great. Yeah, we're gonna go over social media too. I want you to kind of revisit that same thought process when we go over there. I want to talk about, like I said, attitude a little bit with recruits, especially since you're in the NAIA world. I know people try to shun and try to, they ghost you for a little bit until they need you, right? Until it's last minute, then everybody wants to call if the offer's still there. How can kids improve on that? Because I know in the Midwest, NAI is big. It's not like here in California where we kind of dismissive it and we don't really we think it's a lower level football than college football almost. We almost like, oh, that's NAI or that's Division II or that's D3 football. But in the Midwest, it's very big. And I think if kids would do their homework, the morning sides of the world, you guys now on the up and coming teams coming up, the Valley City States of the world, those programs can compete. And we already know Morningside, who's been the NAIA champion for the last, I don't know how many years, they can compete against some Division I schools as far as talent is concerned. Right. I know kids don't look at that, and I'm wondering how can we break that attitude, and what would you tell kids to snap out of that attitude? Because I think it's a privilege to play on Saturdays in any level, because only so many guys can do it. And people don't do it. They don't understand that.
Right. I think the best thing that, changed the attitude and perception about that is, again, the brand. I think that at least at Culver-Stockton College, our football Twitter is our brand, and we're doing everything we can to promote our brand and show that, hey, we've had players do this. We've had players do this. We have been ranked in the top 25 in NAI. We averaged this much on offense. We were some of the best defensive numbers in our conference. Hey, look, in our conference, we have defending national champions. We have this team. We have the winningest team of all time in NAIA history. We're trying to do a lot to promote the brand. And again, that's all about Twitter. Another thing, too, that I would tell recruits, I know we're jumping back and forth, doing your homework entails, this. So if I'm a wide receiver, right? I'm a wide receiver. I'm looking at different football programs, and I should be asking specific questions to, if I'm not talking to the receivers coach, I should be talking to the offensive coordinator and offensive coach that's recruiting me. I should be asking them, hey, what kind of offense do you run? What type of personnel packages do you have? What your percentages can be a little bit miscued here and there, but I would be asking those type of questions. And if you get the response saying like, hey, we're in 12 personnel 90% of the time, you should be thinking to yourself, only 2 spots to play for, huh? I don't know. That's going to be a lot. Or, hey, we like to run a lot of 10 personnel. Could be a better fit for you offensively if you're a receiver. Another thing, too, you need to look at how different programs fared out. And this is what I did as a recruit not so long ago. I saw that, hey, Pomona Pitzer's record was this at the time I was a recruit, but second in the conference in total yards allowed per game defensively. And I just think to myself, I'm looking at the roster, I'm seeing, we got an upperclassman staying and whatnot. That comes down to coaching. And wow, this program's on the rise. You got to, you know what I mean? You got to do your homework. And you got to see it. You have to see and you have to ask those questions. You have to be strategic. You can't just be like, I'm all in, but the the team is in 12 personnel 95% of the time. You want to do the best homework you can, see where the best fit possible for you as a student athlete to see, hey, I'm a press corner, but they're in cover 4 a lot, and they don't press, for example. Well, maybe, look into that. Maybe, ask further questions about that, so.
No, I agree. I think kids need to do their homework to figure out what's the best fit or best marriage for them. I think that's what Coach Shea said last week. I thought that was a great analogy. Figure out what the best marriage is for them to be successful at the next level, as far as when they're on the field. The discouragement of I want to get back and dig a little deeper in the recruiting process for you guys, like more so like on attitudes for kids. Like, and let's be specific. Let's not sugarcoat it. California kids, be in particular, like the resistance that you receive from them. And I know you did a great job this year in recruiting California. My hats, but I've known difficulties because when you were at Division III, you had difficulties getting kids from California to come out there. Why is that resistance there when across the other countries you don't have as much resistance from other areas coming there?
A lot of it too is comfortability. I think a lot of kids in California. California is an amazing state. There's a whole nother world. That's why kids are kind of discouraged from going afar and whatnot. However, it applies to in life. If the opportunity's there, sometimes you're going to have to, pack your Chevy up and go right away because that's what the opportunity is. But at the same time, I think the attitude about that is the way because of comfortability. A lot of people, it's human nature to, be comfortable, be satisfied with where you're at. However, when programs are winning, when, stuff is starting to happen all across Midwest, East Coast, whatever program you're looking at, it is also human nature to gravitate towards success. And I think a great part of Culver-Stockton football that we do is we have guys from 30 different states and 2 different countries on our roster. And a lot of them are states that you have mentioned. California, for example, we have a lot of key contributors from California on our roster. And I think just marketing that, again, it goes back to all about the brand. I think marketing that is just a great way, to change that perception, change those attitudes for those student athletes.
I agree with you. I think that's a way to break the barrier. But I think kids from California need to understand there is no NAIA in California, so there is no other option. If Division I is not recruiting you, and you don't have the grades for Division III or the finances to pay for Division III, your opportunities are Division II and NAIA, which are all out of state, regardless. Where there's none in state, you have to go out of state.
Right.
I think the expectation for recruits, they need to understand where they're landing at. You may be a Division I player, but you may not be developed into a Division I player at the age of 18, right?
Right.
It takes time. Just like the guy you got that went to the NFL, he wasn't a Division I player. He developed that. Now he's in the NFL. He got drafted by the Titans. I think kids need to understand they need to be able to develop. Some of it's development. Some of it is where you fit in, where you're going to go and where you're going to actually play.
Right.
I believe that's an attitude that we need to have a power shift in, because to be all honest, the mass market of kids coming from out of California, because we don't have those schools, is going to be Division II and NAIA. They're the ones that are going to be offered. That's where the bread and butter's at. Because I hate to burst everybody's bubble that's watching this, but Power 5 Division I's are only going after 5 high school kids in the country. Right. Each one are going to take 5 high school kids. Go on non-Power 5. They're only going to take 10 high school kids because of the portal. You go down to the Division I AA. Let's say they take 20 high school kids, and I'm being generous. Jackson State, Dion already said he's only taking 2 or 3 this year, so that's on the scale. They're taking 10. So let's say that's right there. After that, everyone out of high school is Division II or NAIA, regardless of what you do.
Regardless of skill. It's just it's happened like that just because of the portal. 9-day difference, and it just it just happens. It's just the way of the world right now, and hopefully in a few years from now, it's going to take a while, I think. And I think with NIL deals, it's a whole nother undiscovered and undisclosed thing, that we haven't had a lot of information about. And I just think the world is constantly changing. Especially in the college football recruiting world, that, just because you're very good at your program, you might not get that opportunity because of the way college football recruiting is right now and how adaptive and fast it can change. It can change literally in a couple minutes from now, so it's just, you have to be adaptive, and you have to, I call it keeping up with the Joneses, and, market yourself and keep building that brand as much as possible.
How do you feel about transfers now? I mean, I don't know if you guys have had a lot of successful transfers transferring in or guys transferring out. What is your take on you guys' program as far as with transfers? And I'm gonna tell you kind of what I'm circling it around. I know right now, currently the way it is right now, it's easier for a high school kid to go to a 4-year university, go there. If he doesn't like it and he doesn't develop, great. It's not good to enter the portal, but if he has another place to go land after that, it's easier for him to do that transfer away, better than going the JC route due to the way it's easy. Now, and I explain that. If you're a high school kid and you go to JC, if you're a qualifier, you have to get out of that first year. You have to get out of the first year. If you don't, you're stuck. You gotta finish your AA and have 60 transferable units, right? That's the way it works in there. If you go to a 4-year university, you only need 12 transferable units. You can transfer anywhere you want. It's the fact of getting in there and then finding another home. Those are the difference between the two. And I'm not knocking JC. I think JC has his place for the players it needs to have. It's definitely that interim. But when kids get a D2 offer or NA offer and they say, no, I'm just going to go to JC first, they need to start rethinking that and recalibrating. Now, hold on. Let me figure out how I can make what's going to make this work for me in my best interest, right? And me, my best interest is a recruit. If I want to choose to go to a bigger school, I could get there faster by going to a D2 on NAIA, getting 12 transferable units and finding a home, whether as opposed to going to a JC, trying to figure it out and get stuck, because a lot of kids get stuck in that JC world. You know, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Even the JCs that do very well getting them out, a lot of kids get stuck in that JC world due to lack of units. How are you guys faring with that at Culver-Stockton?
I mean, we've had a couple transfers here and there, you know, that are going to hopefully help us out next year. I think the biggest thing when it comes to transfers is, like you mentioned, Montell, it is easier, you know, to go to a 4-year institution. You know, maybe it doesn't work out here and there, and you decide to go to another school or a higher up division rather than going to JC. However, I think the biggest thing when it comes to transfers is you decide to go in the portal for a reason. You're in the portal for a reason. I don't know what that reason is or whatever it may be, but I like to do my research a little bit. So as soon as, you know, I see someone in the portal, I look them up on Twitter. I see, you know, their likes. I see what they post. And then I try to figure out and find their previous coaches' contact information. And by doing that, I'd like to, you know, discuss with the coach, hey, coach so-and-so, why is this prospective student athlete, you know, in the portal? Is everything okay? It could be, financials. It could be, something happened at school, you know. And I like to do my homework a little bit because, again, you're in the portal for a reason. And then, again, with junior college transfers is we've had a great deal. I think we've had a very solid deal of success at Culver-Stockton in terms of the junior colleges, you know, because we just try to hit them up as much as possible. But again, we try to do our research too, and, you know, try to see if it's a right fit. And I think we've done an excellent job of that. But again, the kids don't understand that. Hey, it's a D2 offer. It's a, you know, NAI offer. But D2 and NAIs can give athletic scholarships, just like at a Division I school. And and each of those levels allocate a certain number of scholarship amount to you. So you could be, I have a Division I offer, but it could be, you know, an FCS Pioneer League school where you do not get an athletic scholarship. It could be an FCS school. It could be another FBS school, but it costs more to go to that school, or it's not as much as however this Division II or NAIA school is offering you. So you really got to do your research. For me personally, and for the rest of our coaches, we like to, you know, send out like a cost breakdown as well for anytime we officially offer someone an athletic scholarship, you know, kind of give them a little feel and see how much, you know, we don't ever like to sugarcoat anything. What you see is what you're going to get, and we try to be as transparent as possible. So,
and I believe with that, I also think you, as a student athlete, you need to be smart as well. And what I mean by your offer is great and it's good, or it is what it is, but there's also still money out there they can go get, you know, outside scholarships they can look for.
Right.
They can also force the issue or ask the issue about financial aid and with work study, not so much to what they're being awarded, but is there going to be work study granted to me that I can pay that loan or that opportunity down? And also just other opportunities around campus. I believe there's all kinds of scholarships where it comes down to either ethnicity, grades, your background. There's all of these things that are there to give you money, but a lot of kids don't exercise it. They take what you guys give for heed.
Right.
You know what I mean? They say, hey, this is what they offer me. There's no more money out there. No, there is more money out there, but now it's on you to do the more of the homework as a student athlete to figure out what's offered there at their school, and what's out there for you as far as getting up outside grants and other scholarships to ease that cost of the school for them to attend. And to me, free money is free money. It doesn't matter. You know,
right.
I don't care if it comes from a football program, if it comes from, you know, underwater basket weaving. And I don't care. As long as if it's free to go to my degree, I'm okay with it. But I do believe that's something that kids need to look into, and they don't exercise that much, because I know you have kids look at your offer and they're like, that's too much, coach. I can't afford it. There's no way. And they don't do the homework where they actually can afford it. You know what I mean? They don't look at other opportunities where they can be granted.
Right. And another thing too is the knockoff, like if it's an NAI or a Division two offer, or even an FCS offer, and you say, hey, like I can't afford this, like, oh, or you just glance over it, and it's a Division two or NAI, and it's like, oh, it's way too much, and then you kind of brush that one to the side, and then February goes by, March goes by,
Mm-hmm.
April goes by, May goes by, June goes by, nothing's really happening to you, and then you hit up that NAI school that offered you, and you're like, hey, is my offer still valid? Sometimes it'll be, sorry, we're full. Nope.
Yeah. Money's gone. That money's already allocated and counted for. Yeah, absolutely right.
If you don't want it, okay, we're gonna give it to another guy. And here's the thing too is colleges and college football programs, it's like a waiting list. They want to give you that scholarship. All right, they're willing to allocate and trust you with the scholarship amount they have entailed to you. However, if you don't, there's an expiration on the offer. Because if you're not going to take it, it's not going to just stand there. All right, it's going to go to the next guy on the ladder. And that's how it works. So
yeah, I believe. I mean, and I hate to keep referring to the last show, but Shake said the same thing. If there's 5 guys on my board, and one of those guys take it, that money's gone now. The other 4, right, even though we offered you, you're off. You're off the board now because we got the guy that we got one of the guys that we wanted, and he's taking that slot in that money. And I think kids don't understand that. They really don't. They think that offer, like you said, is there forever, and it's not. It has an expiration date, especially when they find somebody else in that position across the country. Right? We're not just recruiting.
Right. And I mean, so oftentimes it's if you're not going to accept this offer, okay, I'll keep recruiting. And oftentimes find someone who's even better than that. And you're just like, wow, okay. So
or a better fit, right? Just a better fit for the program.
Better fit for the program. And here's the thing too, at Culver-Stockton, we never try to, force anyone to commit. We never say like, oh, like your offer is this long. We want you to come to our program because this is the right fit for you. You want to be part of our family and you want to be a Wildcat. We never try to force anyone to do that. But hey, if you like it, you like it. If not, okay, it's not the right fit for you. So
that's right. All right, couple questions. Quick time. Biggest social media turnoff. Talk about it.
Biggest social media turn off. Again, I think I mentioned that before. Just posting workout videos or even 7-on-7 clips and other things that are, just bad technique, like horrible technique. Like I'll see oftentimes, if a guy's playing corner and it's a 7-on-7 championship or competition and he's pressing a receiver, he's lined up off sides and he posts it. And I'm like, all right, man, it's not good technique. And then, I mentioned they're doing bench, right? They're doing however much they're benching and they're only going halfway instead of full extension all the way through. That's a big turnoff for me. I think for me personally, I try to encourage, recruits to, avoid posting as many videos as possible. I'm kind of a firm believer, work in silence, kind of, if you work hard in silence, the rest will take care of itself. Your success will be the noise. That's how I live by. Because, the way I think about it too is, and I tell my players is, if you post a video of yourself, working foot fire release as a receiver on air against no DB, you're just working on air. You're just got yourself recorded. Well, now your opponent has, that clip of you. They have stuff to use to defend you. They have stuff to use against you. And I try to encourage guys to, try to minimize from posting as much videos as possible, because your opponents and even coaches can use it against you, oh, he's not strong enough. He doesn't have good technique. So, I mean, my biggest turn off is, again, videos on social media with bad technique. That's a big turn off for me.
Wow. And you know what? That's funny. I never even thought about it that way. You actually opened my eyes. I never thought about looking at those videos where they show what's the catch-22. Because, most of them doing that to hopefully brand, expand their brand, get other kid coaches to look at them. But it can be a shot in the foot if you do have bad technique or you're doing the things not wrong, or like you said, when you're lifting weights, you're not showing your hip flexibility. You're showing weaknesses instead of strengths. You know what I mean?
Right, and they'll use it, and they'll use people can use that against you. Hey, I want to offer. I don't know if I want to offer this kid. Oh, okay, great. I've seen this clip now. Now I know how to defend every time he does foot fire release, for example. So it's just
that is great advice. That's one. We're gonna cut that one out in segment. Well, that's a great advice right there. I think that one
just
cut out.
I try to encourage you guys, work in silence, and your success will be the noise. Try to minimize posting as many videos as possible. Only like great tech. Obviously, if you can bench 315 10 times, and you have good technique, that's awesome. But try to minimize as much stuff that can be used against you. I think.
Biggest turn on for social media.
Turn on.
Besides, they say we're committed to your school. What's the biggest turn on for social media? Like, what when a kid tweets something, you're like, man, this kid's on point. I like this kid a lot.
Biggest turn on. That's a very good question, Montell. I think a huge turn on for me is a recruit, that not necessarily tweets that much, but when he does tweet, it's something about family. It's about doing everything possible for the team, for the community. I like guys that, we're a very family type atmosphere at Culver-Stockton. So I enjoy seeing pictures of guys posting pictures with their family, hanging out with their family, helping out in the community, I think is big, helping out with youth camps and different programs like that, helping out, with the school and, trying to, keep helping their program in the best possible way they can. And I think another turn on for me is when guys, hey, I gave you, like, school A gave you an offer, all right? School A is a certain level, and school B is offered that same kid as well, and it's a higher level, but he used the same verbiage for the school. Mm-hmm. And, he used the same type of pictures when he tweeted out the offer. He had the same verb. I can just tell, hey, A, this guy knows how to carry himself. B, he knows how to build his brand. And C, he seems like a good dude. He seems like he genuinely cares about his perception with the other coaches that are recruiting him. I think those are major turn-ons for me. And, I try to, when my brother was going through the recruiting process, I kind of helped him with some advice there. And, my youngest brother is going through the recruiting process right now for baseball. So, try to help them out as much as possible. Because, I do this for a living. So I try to, share what I know.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think those are all traits of your character, right? It's traits of your character, what you show on social media. I think also kind of tailoring on that. And I've talked about it so many times, but people need to worry about, who you have on your social media and what you have on your social media. Not only tweeting those things, but the company to keep the things that you're liking and the things that are posted on your social media can also be a detriment to your recruiting process.
Yeah, and because you never know how verbiage can be perceived. How like tweets can be mischaracterized, and text can be mischaracterized. How many times has that happened before? Because there's no sarcasm over text. There's no sarcasm over Twitter. So you just gotta. J.J. Watt put it a good way. I think they asked him about Twitter or something a long time ago, but he said, I read my tweets 99 times before I post. And, just have a great attention to detail. If you are going to promote your brand and everything like that. I've run into a problem as well. Like when I was a young recruit, you never know what type of perception you may have. You just always got to have great attention to detail when you're posting because, again, that matters because, if you say blessed to receive an offer from, I had this happen one time with a kid tweeted out an offer from me, and he said blessed to receive an offer from Culver-Stockton University, and I'm like, buddy, I I didn't see the memo from our college president. Are we transferring to university now? Are we transitioning to that? Or hey, I'm blessed to receive an offer from this was when I was at Concordia, Wisconsin. Hey, blessed to receive an offer from Concordia University, Wisconsin, and it's a picture of Aurora University. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, all right, dude, like that's the end of your recruitment, just
Yeah.
small
Yeah.
little attention to details to that I think are very important. And I truly value that because, having great attention to detail is another way for you to like your perception to be, hey, this guy's very coachable. This guy wants to learn. This guy's locked in. This guy is focused because he cares, he
Yep.
cares. So,
Yeah, I think that's great because I'm very guilty of that being on social media, especially with my
oh, yeah.
brand, my
Yeah.
brands. I made mistakes several times. I know I
Oh,
have,
we all do.
but
Yeah.
but when it's brought to my attention, I make sure I tweet it and I correct it and those things
Right.
like that. But I believe, especially, but I'm not also not in a position where I'm trying to land a scholarship, so I'm okay. If I
Right.
get away, I'm okay with it. I think you're right, spot on. I think kids need to pay attention to detail when they're doing these things and understand you can help and hurt your brand. Depending on what you want to tweet and what you want to do, be out there, you can really damage yourself. And I'm just constantly thinking what you just said before about guys posting videos because we see this all the time. Kids posting videos of them squatting, kids posting videos of them benching, one time bench press. Kids posting videos of all sorts of things them trying to show. I'm even guilty of it, but I think I did it right with my son. I think I did it right because
Yeah,
he
you
was
did.
okay.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
Yeah,
you did.
but I'm guilty of showing coaches like, hey, check him out, look at him getting ready. But I did mine behind the scenes. I didn't post mine on where everyone can see it. I posted it where you can see it as a coach
Right.
and say, hey, keep your eye on him, keep your eye on, look what he's doing, look where he's going. So I did mine a little bit different, but I do believe the detrimental part I never thought about, and it's a lot of it, to be honest with you. With recruits, I think they do post a lot of bad techniques just because they thought they made a great play. Because you got an interception on the play doesn't mean you were in the right position. Could have just been a bad throw. Doesn't mean you. It's not showing your footwork. It's showing you doing all this stuff, but it doesn't show your footwork, how you're operating.
Right.
It doesn't show those
And
things.
right. The best advice, like the best thing I've seen when it comes to like, just for example, we're getting back to like what to work on, when guys are, hashtag putting in work or hashtag grinding and whatnot, they need to tweet about like, why do you need to post a video about it? Like, try not to, have anything used against you. I mean, Joe Burrow put it a great way, work in silence because he brought that up, it can be used against you, and
Mm-hmm.
opponents can see that. Another thing too is like, for example, like when I see like guys, working on their, stem release or vertical or like, foot fire release and there's no defender there, Devontae Adams put in a good way is, the best way to get better at receiver is to run actual routes. And
Mm-hmm.
if Devontae Adams is saying that, I think he knows what he's talking about. Do you think? I think he knows what he's
Exactly.
talking about. So I would probably listen to him. So, but again, it's just all about promoting the brand. That's what it's
Mm-hmm.
about nowadays. So.
Now, I know you guys are going to camp. I think you guys just got finished with a mega camp. Am I correct? You guys just got done
Correct.
coaching
Yes.
in a couple of mega camps. Your opinion, what's better, a school camp or a mega camp? When I'm a high school kid, I want to get recruited by Culver-Stockton. Should I go to the mega camps and get looked at, or should I try to make it out to your camp at your school and be recruited?
Right. So, again, do your research. I think it's really important that, if you decide to go to a mega camp, you got to look at what other schools will be there. And, they were invited. They are at the camp because they know someone from the school that is being hosted, or vice versa, or they asked, they're nearby school and they want to come and watch a lot of their prospects there. You have to see what type of schools are going to be there. If I go to a mega camp and all the schools are Division Ones and I have not received a Division One offer, and it's at kind of that tail end of my recruiting, for example, then like, why am I going to that mega camp when I can go to another prospect camp and have a chance to meet the entire staff? Our mega camp was it was great, I thought, and we do it in a way where, hey, you get to see, walk through Culver-Stockton College. You get to walk through and you can go on tours after. You kind of use it as a mini visit, per
Mm-hmm.
se. And I think that's the way we did it, and I think we did an excellent job of that. With prospect camps, I mean, I encourage, because I did this, go to as many camps as possible. I encourage 4 to 5 during the summer. 4 to 5, make a trip out of it. Obviously, do as much as you can. You might have to drive here and there, but get as much exposure as possible. And when you're at those camps, just because a Division I program is hosting a mega camp at their school, Division III coach might come talk to you after and be like, hey, I would really love how you did X, Y, and Z, and I would love for you to be a part of our program. And that could be the start of a great relationship. It's a very relationship-driven industry when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to the coaching profession. And so I would try to get out to as many camps as possible. Another thing too, and I think a lot of kids, it is intimidating, to talk to college coaches. It is, because college coaches are put on the pedestal. Coach is a title, and it's a very intimidating, for these recruits. And I think at the end of the day, recruits got to understand that coaches are human too, and it's okay to engage in a conversation. I would try to go up to as many coaches as possible, realistically. Another cool thing I think they should do is immediately, after the camp's over, reach out to that coach and point out that, that relationship starting you had, or point out like, hey, it's great talking to you about how, like, you're from San Diego, I'm from San Diego, all that stuff. And, point out that things. Because at the end of the day, college coaches are recruiting thousands of student athletes, thousands. So some might get caught up in the mix. But again, it's about promoting the brand and promoting yourself like, hey, coach, it was great talking to you, and I'm so glad you coached me up on, my vertical release and fixing my get off and my stance. I'm so glad you helped me fix my bull rush on D line and during one-on-ones. And little things like that matter. And at the end of the day, go up and introduce yourself to as many coaches as possible at all these camps, because just because it's a prospect camp, chances are there's going to be about 3 or 4 schools there as well.
No, I think that's very important, and I think that also shows about a young man's personality. If he's able to go up there and introduce himself to a coach, I think they should always ask for business cards. But if they don't have his business card, they should ask for his contact number. Kids are always walking around with their cell phone. I think you should either tweet that coach, not tweet, but you should text that coach or email that coach right away. I always tell the kids, when you go to these things, have a bio already ready yourself. You should have a piece of paper that's on your phone that has your name and your information there, your huddle link, and your thing, and you just email it to that coach with the little verbiage say, hey, coach, thank you. I met you at the camp. Blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. Here's my contact information. Please reach out to me when you get a chance. I think anytime you have an opportunity to build those relationships, do it. But also, you got to be realistic. You have to be realistic at this point. You can't go to the Oregon coach if you're not an Oregon prospect and do that. That's not going to work. Right. He's not going to respond to that way. You have to be realistic in the coaches that you're working with, and coaches that you're being recruited by, and coaches you think you have an opportunity to go play it. Even though you may think you're an Oregon guy, if Oregon's not looking at you, I wouldn't advise you to go up there, because you may get slighted a little bit or get shaded a little way. I'm sure they handle you with respect, but then if you're not a guy, if you're 5'10" offensive lineman, you're not going to Oregon. You got to be really realistic with yourself.
Yeah.
So you gotta find your lane and communicate in that lane if you want to go play at the next level. Now, with that being said, you have to love the game. It doesn't matter where you're playing in. It doesn't matter where you're going. I just want to be able to play for the next 4 years. And if you don't love the game that way, like if you take away the titles, the levels, Division I, Division II, Division III, NAI, JC, and so on, and say, hey, I just want to go play. Yeah. Then you'll definitely find a home, and you'll be okay. When you start putting that D1 or bus and those D1, all that kind of stuff, that's where that second tier player, not the elite, but that second tier player starts to lose himself. And when they don't get that Division I offer, they're so frustrated as young men, they don't know what to do. And then you kind of go into the spiral thing, hoping to find an opportunity. Some kids do. Don't get me wrong, some kids do. But majority don't. And people don't look at the don'ts. They only look at the dudes. He made it. He went to JC and he figured it out, and he went to Division I and he lived happily ever after. I always tell them, how many kids that did that same thing and didn't make it? Because at some point we got to play the percentage game. What's your best probability as a young recruit to where you're going to land and where you're going to go, and ultimately where you're going to get your degree?
Exactly.
So
because at the end of the day, go ahead, Montell. Sorry.
No, I believe there's not enough honesty in high school coaching when it comes to evaluating talent. I truly believe that. There's not enough
Yeah,
honesty
no,
there.
no, you brought that up, sir, and a lot of times when I get lists from high school coaches and projection is FCS or Division One FBS, and I look at his GPA, it's a 2 or it's a 1.9, and I see his height and measurables, I'm like, you really need to bite your tongue and help these guys out and be realistic. How, like, what's the right fit for them and where they, you want to set. And again, there's a lot of great high school coaches, and I think a lot of times, I think honesty is a big thing you mentioned, and just being as transparent as possible. And I'm glad I was blessed to have a great high school head coach. That was transparent for me. Hey, what did you think of the school that came and visited and talked with you? Could you see yourself there? No, okay, let's go to the next school. And you gotta also factor in. We talked about being in love with the game. Well, how about do you really love the game? Are you going to have a great practice at 2:30 in the afternoon and have an even better practice at 5:30 a.m. in the morning when you're mentally tested? And, are you going to have a great game at 7 o'clock at night? Are you going to have a great game at 1 o'clock in the afternoon? Are you going to have a great day in school, in your classes, and get excellent grades if you have 6 a.m. lift? Are you going to,
I even take it a step further.
With a lot of adversity that comes in your life?
And I'll take it a step further. Like, are you going to bitch about where this location of the school at? Or are you going to man up and knuckle up and swallow your pride and go there what you came there for? Most kids like, oh, it's in the Midwest.
Right.
Okay, it's not overseas. It's in the Midwest. It's a 3-hour plane ride away for you to get there and be able to get home. You're not going to Beirut. You're not going over to a foreign land. You're still in the United States. You're going to a college and you're playing football, regardless if it's in the state of California or if it's in the state of Maine. I think a lot of kids get caught, and I know you heard this excuse. Coach is so far away. It's so far away.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that, Montell, is, because a lot of guys back, oh, it's so far, I'm so homesick, whatever. You're not, okay, you're at school, you report August, you're maybe going back home for mini fall break if you're a local kid. You're going to go home for Thanksgiving, if you're not in the playoffs, right? That's a week or a few days. And then you have finals for a couple weeks. Then you're off for, December and Christmas break for about 6 weeks. And then you're back on campus and you're there till maybe you go home for Easter, spring break, and then your summer. And then sometimes, at certain levels, we give them the whole summer off, and they report August 6th. Some programs, all right, next week, we're good to go. We're going to keep you guys here all summer and everything like that. And you really got to think to yourself, right? Are you really, if you have a day or two off, are you really going to, just fly back to, wherever location you're from, like the plane flight away? No, it's not. Yeah. It's not realistic. You got to, fall in love with why you came there, because getting a bachelor's degree is very attractable, when you're going to different job markets, no matter what school it is. Interacting with career services offices at different, colleges and universities is very important. Getting involved in campus, promoting your brand as well, because at the end of the day, you could get into college coaching like I did and, be in love with the game so much you can't get out of it. Or, sometimes you got to get it. You're going to have to get a real job eventually, because college football.
I got one even better than you. I got better than that. Why not if you're there, you do have to report to the summer. Why aren't you taking a class? Because we know Division I schools, they have to go back in the summer. They're taking the class. Newsflash, you get financial aid for taking summer school, so don't worry about the payment. That you just have to ask for it and pay for it. So I think kids need to understand, maximize the opportunities that you're given. When you have to go on with the breaks, obviously, like you said, you're doing 4-month increments. You go from August to basically November, 4 months. Then you get to go home. You go back a week, and then you get to go home for 6 weeks. You go back in February all the way to May, 4 months. Then you're back home again for a break, because someone lets out. So you're doing 4-month increments. I, I find it hard for kids to complain so much about 120 days. And they do.
Right.
They complain about 120 days being away from home, like so much has happened that, and parents support it. That's even worse.
Yeah.
Parents support it and be like, hey, oh, my baby's homesick, I gotta bring him home, or my son doesn't really like it. Well, you know what? Us as adults do things we don't like all the time. And we have to do it for longer than 120 days, trust me, to do things we don't have to do. So why aren't you teaching them to have perseverance and be able to get through these things, these issues, this homesickness and everything, and having them stick it out and be able to, you know, live in with that goal of getting that degree. Because at the end of the day, it's all about getting that piece of paper, you know, more so than anything.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, Montell. And something I learned from my college football head coach is, you know, it's part of becoming a man, you know,
Yep.
because, you know, if you have to wake up at 5:30 as a parent, you know, to help support your family, you can't just be like, I'm going to sleep in. I don't feel like going up. You can't afford to do that because you have to support and provide for your family. And you got to, you know, if you need any motivation, hey, I remember waking up for 5:30 a.m. practice. That taught me how to become a better man, you know, when I didn't feel like, you know, kept going, you know. Oh, hey, you know, we could have, you know, I could have not gotten work done and just gone home on a Thursday night and just went to go party with some friends, you know. But I'm going to stay a little bit longer in my office hours because I learned that, hey, I value hard work and I value, you know, outperforming guys. And, you know, I did that in college football. You know, it's part of becoming a man because you will learn great life skills. I think there's so many benefits being part of any college football program in the country, no matter what level it is. There's pros and lessons you'll learn, you know, any program you're at that you're going to carry with you the rest of your life, positive or negative, because, hey, you know, I remember during a time like this or something wasn't going my way, this coach reached out to me. This coach sat me down and really helped me get my you-know-what together. Or, hey, I was in this certain situation and this coach didn't do this coach didn't do that. I'm going to do it differently, you know?
Yep.
And you just, you know, try to learn and take different life experiences you had in college because it's going to be some of the best years of your life and you're going to, you know, find a lot and develop into the person you're meant to be, you know, so.
Yeah. Oh, I've always been told, even when I went to college, playing college football, you're going to be, once you complete it, you're going to become a professional at something because of all the skills it teaches you. You know, from teamwork to success, to deal with failure, to conflict resolution, to time management, to accountability, to take criticism, to give criticism. It teaches you all those things in the whole process. So at the end of the day, playing college football, you will be becoming professional. Maybe not for a professional football player, but professional something in life. And I truly believe that because the skill sets that you learn there are invaluable. You know, companies pay millions of dollars to teach people that, and you learn it while you're playing sports. So I think that's a great thing. Man, it's been an hour. Andrew, bro, I can't laugh.
Hey, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah,
you know?
man.
So.
Hey, before we go, tell everybody about Culver-Stockton, where they can reach you guys there, where they can definitely, you know, fill out their form, the prospect form, all that stuff. You want to give 2 minutes to give me your spiel.
Yeah, absolutely, Montell. So, I mean, the best thing about Culver-Stockton football is you get to be the person, you know, you want to be. It's a very open door policy. Coach Sally is very big on the family type atmosphere. Our campus is located on the hill. We were founded in 1853. We were the first school, get this, west of the Mississippi to incorporate males and females into a college classroom. And I'm glad other colleges and universities follow suit and did that. And the best part about our program is we are very big in transparency, open and honest, and, you know, it's all about the relationships with our players. My biggest recruiting philosophy is it doesn't matter what you're teaching in the room, it matters who you're teaching in the room. So every single year I try to get the best student athletes in my room so we can, and other coaches' rooms, so we can succeed. And that's why we've helped turn the tide and turn around this program. The best way, you know, you can reach out to myself on Twitter. Coach Montell has my Twitter. I'll also say it at Coach_Heffler. You can fill out a recruiting questionnaire, and all of our coaches have their Twitters as well. Culver-Stockton football has their own Twitter page. We have over 17K followers on there. And do some research. You can schedule a visit with us, and we're an exciting program. We've done a lot of great things over these last couple of years, and we're working to build on our success and high expectations for the 2022 season. So,
man, I'm looking forward to watching it and seeing not only you develop as a coach, but as you guys keep continue to win in process and keep recruiting kids from California as you guys do. Man,
yep.
Thank you for
been
coming on the show.
It's been an honor, yeah.
Man, I appreciate it, man. I'm glad you gave us some gems, man. Like you got me thinking of some things.
I hope I did.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man, and I hope our audience can take something from it. But hey, straight from the horse's mouth, we are cutting out the middleman when it comes to information and letting you hear it from coaches just like Coach Heffler. Straight from the horse's mouth. We're out.